Sometimes the truth is not in sight. It hides behind the masks of everyday life, waiting for someone who dares to look deeper. These are cracks in the structure of the familiar. From there, something leaks out that changes the way we look at reality. What we consider ordinary often masks paradoxes that defy logic itself. The world around us is a theater where the obvious plays the role of deception, and the real is hidden behind the scenes. Hello! This is a new episode of Inglorious Facts. Here, we don't just tell you the facts. We are taking the world apart to the bone. And believe me, what's beneath the surface is worthy of attention. What seems ordinary can be a trap. The obvious is deceptive. And the little things, they are the ones that most often preserve the truth. And this is the main value of our journey. And in today's journey, you will learn what mistakes have caused companies to suffer significant losses. What has overcome death itself? How can lightning create a work of art? And why is the future of cyberpunk closer than you think? All this and many other amazing things you will learn today on the FactsFusion channel. Everything around you, from the watch on your wrist to the satellite in orbit, is powered by one inconspicuous object, a microchip. It looks like a small plate. It looks like a piece of glass or a shiny chip with a pattern under a microscope. But inside it are millions, and sometimes billions, of tiny electronic components. They are connected to each other like a microscopic city, where each building does its own work. The microchip is the brain of modern civilization. It thinks, it processes, it makes decisions faster than we can blink. And now back to 1958, Texas Instruments Laboratory. The name of our hero is Jack Kilby. He didn't take a vacation when everyone else went on vacation. He was left alone in the workshop, and it was there that he created the first integrated circuit, the true ancestor of the microchip. At the same time, on the other side of the country, Robert Noyce of Fairchild Semiconductor invented a similar technology. Two geniuses, two parallel revolutions. At that moment, a new era began, an era in which electronics were no longer just light bulbs and wires. 1971, Intel launches the Intel 4004, the world's first microprocessor. A microscopic crystal contains more power than all the computers that had previously occupied entire rooms. Humanity has taken a step toward the future, and this step was made on the silicon bridge of the microchip. At first glance, it's just sand, ordinary, like the one that squeaks underfoot on the beach. But it is in this sand that the most important resource of modern civilization, silicon, the second most abundant element on the planet, is taken, purified to a state of almost absolute purity, and turned into smooth crystals. Then, there are hundreds of stages. Each of them is like brain surgery: photolithography, etching, alloying, and again, layer by layer, atom by atom, from desert sand to the brain of artificial intelligence. This is the path silicon has taken to control everything. This is not just a technology. This is the alchemy of the 21st century. And it works, because humanity has learned to extract intelligence from ordinary dust. Microchips are used in all spheres of life, from household appliances to medical devices. They power computers, smartphones, cars, airplanes, and even spacecraft. Microchips are something that our modern world is impossible without. They drive the technologies that determine every step of our lives. But who is behind their creation? Which countries rule this digital empire? Microchip production is concentrated in a few countries, creating a strategic dependence. Taiwan, South Korea, and the United States control most of the world's production. This makes microchips not only a technological, but also a political resource or leverage. Microchips have become so sophisticated that they require sterile rooms, lasers, ultraviolet radiation, and temperatures in excess of 1,000 degrees to create. This is one of the most technically complex things humanity has ever created. But these tiny devices are not just about convenience. They contain power. Whoever controls microchips controls technology, information, and possibly the future. In a world where privacy is becoming a luxury, microchips are becoming not just tools, but silent witnesses to our lives. They are embedded in our phones, bank cards, cars, and sometimes even our bodies. Small RFID chips, radio frequency identification, allow information to be read from a distance. Theoretically, it is for convenience, contactless payments, customs control, electronic keys. In practice, it is a tool for total tracking. Where you were, what you bought, how much you spent, who you crossed paths with. All of this can be read, stored, and analyzed. Chips are getting smarter, smaller, and more dangerous. Some are already capable of recognizing faces, speech, and emotions. Others are self-learning. In China, they control social ratings. In the United States, they analyze the market and the mood of voters. And some are rumored to be already being tested for biobehavioral modeling. And although they are officially designed for comfort and security, some believe the one who wears a microchip is no longer his own person. Just imagine, you no longer enter your password, search on Google, or open applications. All you have to do is think, and the system obediently executes the command. This is not fiction. This is something that leading companies in this field, such as Neuralink, BlackRock Neurotech, Synchron, are already working on. These are the titans that open the way to the future world of cyberpunk. Subcutaneous microchips used to open doors, authorize, and store medical data are really gaining popularity. In Sweden, for example, they have become a common alternative to traditional cards and keys. These chips allow quick and convenient access to various systems, simplifying everyday life. Sometimes a chip is not about tracking, opening doors, or paying for purchases. It's about sensations. Modern neuroengineers have learned to create prostheses that connect directly to the nervous system. It's not just a hook hand. It's a device that can sense touch. In the Luke Arm project, named after Luke Skywalker, scientists connected sensors to the medianus nerve, which allows a person to feel the pressure or texture of objects. And researchers at Johns Hopkins APL have created a prosthetic arm controlled by signals from the brain through an array of electrodes implanted in the sensoromotor cortex. In Sweden, a patient with an amputated arm received a permanently implanted neurointerface that allows him to control his arm mentally and feel the temperature or shape of objects. And this is all in everyday life, not in a laboratory. One of the breakthroughs is elastic electrodes that are not just attached to the nerves, but seem to grow into the tissue. This allows avoiding rejection and achieving more accurate reading of impulses. These prostheses are not a replacement. They are a rebirth. With each impulse, the human body is getting closer to merging with the machine, not only physically, but also emotionally. But every metal has a flip side. What reads thoughts can also impose them. When a chip starts helping you think, are you still you? Officially, microchips are for the good. Treatment, convenience, security. But there are areas that are whispered about. The military, where the control of drones by the power of thought is being integrated. Espionage, which is a potential opportunity to monitor opinion leaders or politicians. Behavioral algorithms that will shape your decisions by influencing emotional centers. A microchip can cure a disease or imprison a person. It can connect you to the whole world, or it can disconnect you with a single signal. Mankind has always longed for one thing: to escape the embrace of time. Myths about the philosopher's stone and the source of eternal youth, cryochambers, longevity pills. We are constantly hunting for immortality. It's all a reflection of our fear of the inevitable. Now imagine, at this time, while we are still dreaming, someone has already done it. And this someone is not even a human being. Nature has already made its choice. It is a tiny jellyfish. No name, no reputation, no superpowers. Just a quiet, slippery, almost invisible life form. Meet it. Turritopsis dohrnii, the jellyfish that refused to grow old. This creature, smaller than a fingernail, has a unique ability. When it faces stress, injury, or aging, it does not die. Instead, it reverts to its original stage of life, the polyp. This process, known as transdifferentiation, allows its cells to change their identity, transforming from one type to another. Thus, the jellyfish actually restarts its life cycle, avoiding death. And it doesn't just avoid it, it cancels death. When others die, it goes back to the start. Its adult cells become young again, literally. Instead of completing the cycle of life, it becomes a polyp again, a jellyfish baby, and it starts all over again. Scientific studies have shown that Turritopsis dohrnii has twice the number of genes responsible for DNA repair and protection compared to related species that age normally. This allows it to effectively repair damage and maintain the youthfulness of its cells. Although this jellyfish is not completely immortal, it can die from predators or unfavorable conditions. Its ability to avoid aging makes it unique in the animal kingdom. It doesn't fight death, it ignores it. Every time the world pressures her, she says,
"Ah, shit. Here we go again."
This amazing divine organism is one of several who have touched the very concept of immortality. In one way or another, it opens up new horizons for us in understanding the processes of aging and regeneration, perhaps bringing us closer to unlocking the secrets of longevity that we so desire. And we shouldn't forget that this may add a number of new problems and threats. Most importantly, there will be a threat of devaluing life. They say lightning is a kiss from heaven, instant, unrestrained, and capable of changing the very body of the earth. Sometimes this kiss does not leave behind a fire, but a miracle, an underground glass tree born of fire and sand. The branched shape, frozen in the moment of impact, is proof that even destructive force can create beauty. First of all, these are traces of the moment when heaven and earth became one for a second. And each of them is like a frozen mystery that nature tried to hide, but failed. When lightning strikes the ground, everything around it goes through a split second of several 100,000 degrees. The sand melts and hardens instantly. Something similar to glass trees is born underground. They are called fulgurites, from the Latin fulgur, which means lightning. These transparent branches tell their own story, where the lightning path lay, how it curled, bifurcated, penetrated deeper, and froze in the form of fantastic networks. And now the interesting part. Scientists were able to determine the isotopic composition of oxygen. Studies have shown that the oxygen isotope composition of fulgurites can reflect the environmental conditions during their formation. For example, the analysis of fulgurites from the Egyptian Sahara allowed scientists to reconstruct atmospheric conditions and weather patterns of the Miocene era, approximately 15 million years ago. Also, gases such as CO2 and CO can be stored in the glass bubbles of fulgurites. The analysis of these gases in fulgurites from the Libyan desert has provided information about the climatic conditions of the late Pleistocene. Thus, the fragile glass structure has become a chronicle of the planet. Some fulgurites stretch several meters underground and are difficult to dig out intact. Most break at the slightest pressure. That's why intact large samples are a real rarity and collector's item. Sometimes a lightning strike forms fulgurite right on the surface. Then you can see amazing glass explosions that look like plants or corals frozen in motion. So the next time there is a thunderstorm, remember? Somewhere under your feet, another glass autograph of the heavens may be born. Invisible, fragile, created in a moment and preserved for centuries. It seems that nothing can tame lightning, but sometimes nature itself allows us to see its signature. A powerful discharge of electricity can create a real pattern, an extensive network of thin lines that resembles trees, rivers, or even the nervous system. Such autographs of lightning are called Lichtenberg figures. Scientists have even learned how to artificially create such lightning scars. In laboratories, they use electrostatic generators to charge acrylic blocks to the limit and then punch them with a short pulse, creating glassy flashes in the middle of the material. It looks like a real explosion has frozen in the transparent depths. Researchers use these structures for more than just beauty. By studying the discharge pathways, they get clues to develop new materials and technologies for lightning protection. Sometimes the trace of a powerful element is not destruction. It is art. And yet, it's not just on the sand that lightning leaves its autograph. Sometimes it draws directly on living skin. After a lightning strike, Lichtenberg figures can also appear on the human body. This is the result of the electric charge passing through the capillaries under the skin, leaving a trace, an instantaneous record of furious energy. But unlike works in glass or sand, a human lightning trace is far from beautiful. The price of such an autograph can be daunting. Despite the enormous power, about 90% of people survive a lightning strike. However, for many, life will never be the same. Serious burns, memory impairment, chronic pain, paralysis, psychological trauma. So, despite the beauty of this phenomenon, lightning does not spare anyone or anything, and in addition, it can leave a scar not only on the body, but also on the soul. In a world where design drives our choices, where every line, color, and slogan has to be as precise as a scalpel blade, a mistake can cost more than just a reputation. It can become an eternal mark in the textbooks of absurdity. What happens when creativity goes beyond logic? When a noble intention turns into satire? When a product that was supposed to be admired makes you laugh or recall the entire run? These stories are not fictional. They happen to brands trusted by millions. But one printed line, one unkempt layout, one extra word, and the company entered the pantheon of design shame. A selection that proves that sometimes the best advertising is the scandal you're trying to get out of. At the turn of the 90s, American schools decided to fight drugs. Not through lectures, not with posters, but with pencils. Each of them has an optimistic slogan: "Too cool to do drugs." Sounds good, doesn't it? But there was one detail that no one had foreseen. These pencils had to be sharpened. And with each sharpening, the slogan changed. At first it was "Too cool to do drugs." Then it changed to "Cool to do drugs." And again, "Do drugs." And then there was drugs. All that remained in the hand of yesterday's addiction fighter was a small wooden pencil with an inscription that looked like "Open Propaganda." The students were laughing. Parents were outraged, and school administrators panicked and recalled thousands of pencils. This undesirable effect was discovered by a 10-year-old student from Ticonderoga, New York. After his remark, the organization recalled the pencils and released a new batch with the slogan printed in reverse to avoid similar situations in the future. "We're actually a little embarrassed that we didn't notice that sooner," a representative of the company admitted. It's ironic. The anti-drug message has turned into a shining example of how not to design motivational campaigns. This case is still being studied as a classic design failure, which clearly showed that even a simple object like a pencil can sharpen not only graphite, but also reputation. The result, a product recall and a mention in every anti-marketing textbook. In January 2009, Tropicana, a company known for its orange juice, decided to update its packaging design. Instead of the usual image of an orange with a straw, the new packaging featured a glass of juice on a white background, and the logo was changed to a vertical font. These changes were aimed at giving the product a modern look and attracting a new audience. However, consumers did not recognize their favorite product on store shelves. Within 2 months after the launch of the new design, sales fell by 20%, resulting in a loss of $30 million. In response to the negative reaction, the company returned to the previous packaging design. We had underestimated the deep emotional connection that consumers had with the original packaging, said Tropicana North America President Neil Campbell. This case has become a classic example of how radical design changes can lead to a loss of brand recognition and negatively impact sales. In 2020, the French fashion house Louis Vuitton introduced a premium yoga mat worth $2,390. This accessory was equipped with genuine cowhide straps, which caused outrage among the Hindu community. For Hindus, cows are sacred animals, and the use of their skin in objects intended for the practice of yoga, a spiritual discipline with roots in Hinduism, is considered offensive. Rajan Zed, president of the World Society of Hinduism, expressed deep concern, noting that the design demonstrates a lack of cultural sensitivity and respect for religious beliefs. He called on Louis Vuitton to recall the product and apologize to the Hindu community. The scenario of yoga, a profound, sacred, and ancient discipline introduced and nourished by Hinduism, being performed on a mat made from a killed cow is painful, said Rajan Zed. This case is an example of how a lack of cultural sensitivity in design can lead to an international scandal and damage a brand's reputation. Dove seemed to be aiming for a revolution, a fight for real beauty. But in 2016, they created a series of soaps that came in packages that followed the shapes of women's bodies to emphasize the diversity of shapes and sizes. It looked like this. The soap packages were shaped like different female silhouettes, which, according to marketers, was supposed to show that every body is beautiful and worthy of attention. But the idea, which was supposed to be a symbol of inclusivity, instead caused a backlash. Why? Several women started looking for bottles that looked like themselves. They couldn't find packaging that reflected their own figures, and this was the reason for their frustration. In one case, a woman even pointed out that the packaging for the soap was not only unfriendly, but even looked bad. The products, which were supposed to be a celebration of women's individuality, quickly disappeared from store shelves. And Dove released a statement saying that it understands the importance of inclusivity and sensitivity to different shapes of women's bodies, but admits that the project did not have the desired effect. All of these cases have become an important lesson for many brands, as even good intentions can have the opposite effect if they do not take into account how the product will be perceived from different cultural and personal perspectives. Ideas about self-acceptance can often provoke more questions than answers if they are not properly adapted to the target audience. The world we live in is not as simple as it seems at first glance. Familiar things often hide paradoxes that defy logic. We believe that every crack in the familiar is a window to something greater. Every fact that we show you is not just a curiosity or a strangeness, it is a beacon, a signal that reality is wider, deeper, and more interesting than we can imagine. And the best part is that we can search for and discover these wonders together with you. The internet, scientific research, ancient myths, and technology are a limitless space for new ideas and facts that are just waiting to be shared with you. Your comments, ideas, and interest are what keep us moving forward. Together, we can create content that will inspire and delight, expanding our horizons. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like it, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback is important to us and helps us develop to bring even more interesting facts and discoveries. See you in the next video. And remember, the obvious is not always true.